Well, welcome to Accounting 2301. I'm Professor Drake. A little bit about me. I'm a retired CPA. I started teaching on a part-time basis at CTC in 2011. Uh, came full-time about a year and a half after that, and this is a good retirement job for me. Um, my background, I said I'm a retired CPA. I started out in public accounting. I worked for one of the large auditing companies, was hired away as controller of a company. I've been a controller, chief financial officer, CFO, treasurer, basically in the accounting world. If I've been there, done that, mailed the postcard. I also spent a number of years consulting, primarily doing accounting systems implementations all over the country. I've worked for companies as big as Wesco, which had 125 people in the accounting department, to small one, two-person shop, or even a few companies where the one person did kind of jack of all trades, did the accounting and everything else. So I really have seen a great deal. One of the things I learned over those years in accounting as a manager and a consultant is that I'm only as good as the people that work for me. And I feel very strongly that I don't have an adversarial relationship with my students. I felt like when I was in school that sometimes it was a contest between the professor and me. I don't see it that way. I can measure my success by your success. And so I try to structure my classes for you to be successful. Speaking of success, accounting, introductory accounting fails anywhere from 50 to 65% of the students who take it the first time through. That's horrible. And that's because it's a hard course and it's going to be time consuming. But we've designed the course for you to be successful. And I'll get into that when I get into the black. But let me focus back and ask you the question that you're probably asking yourself. Why in the world am I here? Well, think about it for a minute. Do you think accounting is one of the world's oldest professions? Actually, it is. Archaeologists have discovered clay tokens from around 7,500 BC, and this is the initial recording of transactions. So the symbol for an ox, which was a little circle with some horns on top on the little clay token, evolved into the letter A in the Western world. The archaeologists believe that the need for keeping track of accounting transactions was actually the beginning of written language. In 3500 BC, cuneiform tablets had been found from that time that were summaries of those clay tokens. So this is the beginning of keeping track of stuff. In 1770 BC, the Kona Hammurabi was finalized or codified. And similar to the Book of Numbers in the Judeo-Christian tradition, this was a code of how to live. But unlike the Judeo-Christian book, the Bible, the Code of Hammurabi contains contract law, which tells people how to do commercial interactions between each other, whereas on the Christian tradition is more what to eat and how to act. In the 7th century BC, coins were discovered from Lydia. And this is an important step because this introduces the monetary unit. And the monetary unit allows us to buy and sell stuff at a set price. It also allows us to record that at that set price. Prior to this, if I had goats and you had wine and I wanted to trade goats for wine, we'd have to make that barter. And if I wanted grain, then I had to trade goats for grain. And it got pretty complicated, that whole system of bartering. You can imagine what that'd be like today. But the important thing is the monetary unit is one of the key concepts in accounting is that we record everything at what it cost us. and we record. So we have a standardized unit, which is in our in the U.S. the dollar. In the 5th century BC, Greeks developed a banking. Banking is when we now begin to get external users involved in our business. And if you've ever dealt with a banker, you know how busybody they can be. We have to report information to those external units based on our reporting. In 1494, Pacioli summarized mathematics to that point. Pacioli was a contemporary of Leonardo da Vinci in Venice. About half his book, the Summa, dealt with accounting, and I could teach, if I had an English translation of the Summa, I could teach some of the basic concepts of bookkeeping out of that Summa, because it hadn't changed all that much. We've amplified and added a lot of underlying principles and codified a lot of things, but the basic concepts are the same as the double entry bookkeeping. It's basically the same concepts that Pacioli summarized for us in 1494. The good news is students have been struggling with this since 1494. So you're not alone in your struggles. By the way, I've had students ask us if that's me in the background with Pacioli. That actually is a little bit before my time. I'm a little bit older than most of you, but I'm not quite that old. So let us go to Blackboard. See if I can get that over onto the screen. Go. There we are, Blackboard. So you're going to be in one of these 2301 classes that I'm teaching this semester. The reason I'm teaching all of these is that I redesigned the course, and this is the first semester we're going to be teaching it. But in any of these, you're going to get into McGraw-Hill, which is where all our work is going to be done. Let me show you where that is. Go into any of the lessons, and at the bottom of the page, there's going to be a folder with accounting, the McGraw-Hill assignments in it. You can go to any of these assignments and it will take you to a sign-up page. And once you've done that, you're in the master. You only have to do that. The assignments are, we have the Smart Book, which is a adaptive reading. And, oh wow, 2 students have already started that. But what this does is it allows you to go through, read the materials, and going to ask you questions, and it's going to give you the importance, highlight stuff for you. And as you go through, it asks you questions and it grades you on those questions as you go through. So let's back out of that. Back to home. Next thing we got is a video lecture assignment. This gives you video summaries of the learning objectives. So it goes through, and it's got check questions in it, and it allows you to go through, watch the video, answer the questions. It is graded. So you can see it's a lot of reinforcement on your learning in these areas. The homework assignments, oh, before that, these comprehensive need to know video assignments are videos on specific points. So if you've got a question about something, you don't quite get it from the previous work, you can go here and look at that. The quick study practice, there's practice homework problems that you can work prior to doing the homework. On the homework, the homework assignments are actual assignments that you go through, and these are graded, but you have got, you can check your work as you do it. You've got 3 tries at it. to the policies. You're allowed to print them. You're allowed to uh, um, access the ebook. You're given hints, and you can access Check My Work. The only thing you can't do is email me on this specific problem directly from the problem. If you are having problems, however, please go ahead and email me about that, and I'll take a look at it, try to help you with it. Back to so the homework exercises is graded. We also have problems that are graded, which are a little more complex exercises. So of all of this is a lot of your grade is right in this piece right here. You also have in each chapter, there are assessment problems, which are similar to problems that you've had in the homework. And you'll work these. And now this is a test, this is a quiz, but you've just done the problems. So this ought to be looking very familiar to you at this point in time. This is a quiz, so you don't have the hints and the hints and the check my work in this, but you ought to be able to do these fairly easily. And then the next thing is we also have chapter quizzes, which are multiple choice questions. And then we have the final piece of the grade this is purely extra credit. These are analytical problems. So this asks you, does a company analysis. So this is taking some of the things that you've learned in this is a key financial figures from Apple. And this is taking primarily information from Apple and asking you to solve specific problems on a real world company. Now, so that's how to get into it. That's basically what we're having do and talk about grading on this. Before I redesigned this the way it is now, homework accounted for 25% of the grade and the test accounted for 75%. There were 3 exams, 75%, all or nothing. I don't think that's particularly fair, putting high stakes tests in. So what I've done is we do have a midterm and a final. They are over the midterms over the first 5 chapters and the finals over the last 5 chapters. They're worth 200 points between them, or 20% of your total grade. You can see that doing the exercises and the problems and the assessment problems which is the actual doing the work, is far more important than the testing. And if you do the homework, and you ought to be able to get 100 points out of your, or 100 points total out of the smart book and the video lecture assignment, because you're just going through that and you're answering the questions till you get them right. So there's no reason not to get full credit on those. Exercises and problems, again, there's no reason not to get full credit or close to full credit. Where you begin to get into actually getting tested is in the assignments, problems, and those are problems like you've just been doing in the exercises and problems. And then the chapter quizzes are multiple choice over the key concepts that you've nailed down with the smart book and the video lecture assignments. So again, if you do the work in the chapter is going to be fresh in your mind. You ought to do very well on the assessment problems in the chapter quizzes. And then we really de-emphasize the midterm and the final. I really would like to see everybody in here successful. Um, you have got full control over that. Let me talk about what that means as a practical matter. There's a concept in the academic world called the Carnegie unit. And basically that says for every hour in the classroom, you're going to get credit. So a 16-week class that covers 3 hours is a 3 hour credit course. Okay. If we compress that 16 weeks, and you're expected to spend 3 hours in a 16-week period, you're expected to spend 3 hours a week in the classroom. You also are expected to spend an additional 2 to 3 times that, so anywhere from 6 to 9 hours of time outside of class doing work on that course. So in other words, you're going to do 3 hours of class and 6 to 9 or 9 to 12 total hours per week on that course. If we compress that into an 8-week class, then you're expected to spend 6 hours in the classroom. We obviously don't have classroom. So you're expected to spend 6 hours in the classroom and anywhere from 12 to 15 hours in the outside. In other words, you're expected to spend somewhere in the 24 hours toward this course, and it will take that. But be prepared for that. Don't don't worry about it. You can find time to do that. I know it's a lot, but you will be successful. One of the things I'd like you to do right off the bat is review this course contract. And I'm in the instructor mode, so you can't see that. But you look at this course contract, read it, review it, and then click the reviewed. We have to have that so you can, I can say that you're actually here and taking the course. Again, I'm Professor Drake. I hope that you have a happy, fulfilling, I don't know if it's going to be happy, but it should be a very fulfilling course. Um, I think you'll find accounting is a lot more interesting than you initially thought. You don't have to be really good in math. You can use a calculator or use a spreadsheet. You can add and subtract. That's really all that you have to do in this course. And I hope that you're successful. If you've got questions, if you've got problems, let me know. This is not a self-paced course. We've got deadlines and assignments. However, I understand life gets in the way. You're in the Army, you got to go out in the field. You've got kids, you got problems, I've heard everything. I had one student one time email me, said, "I'm Mr. Drake, I'm in El Paso, my boyfriend's in jail. What should I do?" I said, "Well, I'm not going to make you turn in your homework today. You might find a better boyfriend, but I understand, and so I'm willing to work with you, but you're going to have to do the work. I can't do it for you. I actually know this stuff pretty well by now. So anyhow, please reach out to me if you've got problems. Welcome to the course."